Howdy friends, Bexno back with another Diablo 2 video. I want to talk about an item in the game that is almost synonymous with Diablo 2 as Enigma. That, of course, is the wonderful, the rare, the Stone of Jordan. So just a little bit of lore about this item. Obviously, a lot of people know what the Stone of Jordan is. Here are the stats, just kind of as a at a glance: 1 to all skills, 1 to 12 lightning, 20 to mana, increased mana at 25%, with the required level of only 29, which is pretty crazy. But what is the history of the Stone of Jordan? How did this become the item that it is now? So basically, this item was previously before I think this was introduced in the 1.09 patch. Before that patch, so right around when the Diablo 2 expansion came out, so the Lord of Destruction that came out was 1.07. 1.08 was launched at the exact same time, and then 1.09 was released sometime after that. But before or after the 1.9 patch, that's where we started to see things like high runes become the valuable items. So why was this item so important before that? So this was actually one of the main currencies in the game. If you were playing online, people would often trade things for Stones of Jordan. It was kind of like, people would use them occasionally for their build because, again, well, not all stats, is pretty great, and the additional mana and stuff like that, but they were mostly used just to trade for other items. So if you had a Stone of Jordan, you essentially had a currency that you could trade with people, similar to how high runes are now after roughly the 1.14 patch. But there's a lot of different notes about those different patches. I highly recommend looking it up. There's a lot of great documentation about that out there. But what else is special about the Stone of Jordan? So I'm going to take a step back. I know I'm kind of blowing through this. Let's look at the stats first. So like I said, 1 to all skills. That out of the gate in a ring slot is incredible. You have 2 of these plus 2 to all skills. Not utilizing any other slot on your character is very, very powerful. You start to pair that with like an Arachnid's Mesh that gives you +1 to skills, some other things that give you +1 to skills, and you're all of a sudden looking at level 40 skills without using charms. Or that's actually really dramatic. Level 40 skills with using a couple charms to really save, to really beef up the overall performance and output of some of your builds. So 1 to all skills, awesome. Adds 1 to 12 lightning damage. Lightning damage, it's kind of just, that's really not a ton, but it's still extra damage. Plus 20 to mana, which is always nice. Any extra mana is awesome. But the real kicker to pair with the 1 to all skills is the increased mana by mana 25%. So that is awesome. So being able to have 2 rings that essentially do that feature is really going to help your character, especially as you scale and you have more mana on the account. Adding these percentage-based adders is really going to go a long way. Especially mana is probably one of the most important things in this game. If you have a caster build or if you have really anything, mana is going to be the driver. I'm trying to think if there's a skill that actually doesn't use a ton of mana outside of like maybe Mosaic or something like that. But a lot of these, mana is really the name of the game. So you're going to find these on a lot of different builds at being kind of the end game of like, you got to get your skills up, you got to get your damage output up. And then you got to have your pool of mana up as well. So nothing too crazy with the stats. And again, level 29 is the required, which is awesome. So the thought that you can have this before you can have your last skill slot, like, on a barbarian, you could have a Stone of Jordan and be able to wear it before you can use Whirlwind, which is just a wild concept to me. But the other cool thing that this ring does is that, many of you know of the Annie charm. Kind of tying together the lore of this ring back with how that ties into it. This was a really common item that people would dupe along the way because it was used as a currency. They didn't really have great ways of detecting what was duplicated. There was a lot of tricks that people were doing to get around that. So what they did was the market was flooded with these. So they wanted to, after they fixed the update, after they kind of migrated towards high runes, the game kind of naturally progressed towards high runes being the currency. There was a lot of Stones of Jordans just kind of hanging out there. And so they wanted a purpose for them. So, they didn't want this just to be something that you farm and nothing happens with it. So I think this will work. I am doing single player, but if you sell this to a vendor, and you actually have to be in hell difficulty and sell the ring there. So minor adjustment. An item has been sacrificed to the Lord. Diablo has invaded Sanctuary is the message. This is all what you were expecting to see. Let me move my face out of the way there. So now you can see if I walk out here, let me just kind of leap around. Let me see if I can find him. And there he is in all of his ugly glory. And I've died. So how fun. So yeah, if you kill Diablo, you get the Annihilus charm. Just wanted to add that on the end there because I did make a mistake. So I'm going to end this one here. This is just a really fun item in the game. If you have any other items like this that you want me to cover, or any other kind of what I call Diablo 2 classics that you think would be really interesting, definitely comment down below. I want to hear from everyone. If you like this video, a like would be awesome. Definitely leave any feedback down below. If I got something wrong, I don't want to be wrong in this, on these videos, and it is a learning experience. That's why I like making these videos, because I learned from a lot from the community out there. So I'm going to end this one here, like I said. So, yeah, fun item, Stone of Jordan. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for stopping by.